Okay, good morning. How are you today? I'm not even going to number this one. I'm just going to go out into the world and speak, hopefully engaging others to want to be involved, uh, so that possibly we can make a better world. I don't know. I mean, it seems very heavy right now, the world that we're living in, and the things that we are dealing with. And so, in turn, there's so much anger and frustration on everybody's side. And this is the issue. The thing that's happening is that uh, people are, on some level, uh, and one of the things that happened recently was I saw a new page on Instagram, and that page shows a it shows a bunch of people who are hating against Jews, or the anti-Semitism of the world that's happening right now. And there was this guy. I don't know why, in particular, this one video hit me, but this guy is taking down posters of people who are missing in Israel. Now, the posters were actually created by a friend of mine, an artist friend of mine, who is out of Israel, and he is he's an artist. His name's Dede Band-Aid, Dede Band-Aid, and him and his partner created these posters that you could then download. And if you had a family member, or if you knew somebody who was missing, you would put that picture into this thing with it was red and it said missing, and these posters started getting put up everywhere. And in turn, there were a lot of people who were taking them down. So there's one guy, I don't know why, once again, I don't know why this person in particular was the reason that I went to it, but I saw this guy, and I was like, man, I want to talk to him. I want to find out about him. I don't know why. Once again, I do not know why that's the case, but nonetheless, that's what I did. And I reached out to the guy, and I was like, and I found out that he owns a coffee shop, because these people are promoting like some pretty angry stuff, even though I understand where it comes from. But in doing so, those who are against this man for doing what he did, which is taking down the sign, when I spoke to him, he said, look, man, I don't know what to do with my life. My employees are getting death threats. My business is falling apart, all because I took down a poster. And I did so because, at least this is what he said, my kid is scared, because the fact that we're Palestinian or Muslim or Arabic, there's also a rise of anti-Semitism towards us. And my kid said, what he said, his son said to him, or his child said to him, something to the effect of, it makes me scared because people are calling me a terrorist. There's kids in school who are forcing other children to choose sides. And that's heavy. I mean, we already asked people in the last couple of years to choose your gender at a very young age. And now we're asking children to choose sides of things that adults deal with. As a child is born into this world, they have no idea what is religion. They have no idea what is race or color. And all of a sudden, we're forcing this idea. Before I go any further, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you for sharing the video. Thank you for all of the stuff that's happened in the last month and a half that I've been doing this show. 46 episodes have been created that are all over an hour long. It's over 46 hours of information. I'd like to also mention, if you have a podcast, if you want to stream, use the link in the description. I get money. You get an awesome service for $20 a month. That's one. Two, I'd like to thank my sponsors. One of them is Jacob, and he is sponsoring at $50 a month. And then I had Spice, Christy Spice, and she threw down $200 towards me. And I have a comment here. Thank you so much, James, for jumping in on this. I needed someone to jump in with me. Islamophobia and anti-Semitism are on the rise in the UK because of this. Once again, violence in the name of religion, when really it's about land, not religion. Man, such a true statement there, James. I read this book recently. I can't say that I read it. I watched a video, a breakdown of this book, but it talks about how control has happened on this planet. So first it was about who had the most land, and whoever had the most land ended up becoming a king, and then the person who was a king ended up having all these people underneath them that worked for the guy who had all the land, right? The second wave was who had the biggest machines, or who had the better technology, if you will. And that led to obviously the atomic bomb and Hiroshima and what we have done to ourselves in this world, which then leads to the next thing, which is information. So the way that control is happening now is based on knowing everything about you and knowing every single thing that you're into or not into, or how you feel or whatever. And that is then used against you in the marketing machine. And I've seen it, which is the most insane thing in the world. I just recently was working with a politician marketer. Is about the best way to explain it. He markets for politicians. He does door-to-door services, marketing with people on the street, getting signatures. He does emails, and he also does phone calls. One of the things he asked me to work on was recreating the voice of a very famous senator. But he also sent me to a course on artificial intelligence and politics. And I was absolutely blown away. Mind you, this was a very private Zoom meeting. He's been in the industry 20 plus years. He's worked for Biden. He's worked for Kanye. He worked for Trump. He does 200 plus politicians every 2 to 4 years. So this guy is super involved in the game. And he gives me this Zoom to go watch this pitch, basically, from this company that offers marketing services to these people. The point is that the video ends up showing the ability to use API codes or keys and be able to view Google searches per area. So the amount of time, and so they're using AI to, in the moment that you post it, okay? So like if it went to Twitter or if it went to wherever and it's an open forum kind of situation where it's public, in the moment that you post it, it immediately works an AI algorithm to use that information towards whatever it wants to manipulate other people. And it's doing the same thing with other people that you follow to push towards you. So it's creating a resounding chamber in your life through the media that you consume, and even when you go towards other ideas, or in other words, they rate your level of manipulation. How easy are you able to be swayed from one side to the other? And then based on that information, they can use that to get you to vote in a different position based on the media that they're forcing you and forcing down your throat based on your search results. So in other words, they don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. They only care about your vote, and they will manipulate you to vote the way that they want you to vote, even though you think it's your choice. 100% what they're doing. And I've seen it. I've seen it. The way that they do it and the way that they explain it is like this overwhelming experience. But nonetheless, I want to get back to the story about this gentleman who took down the sign. And I called him. I sent text messages with him on Instagram to his business's thing, and then I asked him. I was like, "Yo, dude, I want to do a podcast with you and talk to you." And the guy, the fact that the guy even responded says something to me. And the second thing is, he responded saying to me something to the effect of, as long as we can have like an open, real conversation and you're not going to come at me in some kind of like freaked out, negative, like, way, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And at that point, I was like, yo, dude, I really do want to have a conversation with you. I really do want to have. And then I didn't have a guest today. Well, I did, but I don't know what happened to him. Maybe I'll do it later today. Oh, by the way, special announcement. We are now on Kick, Rumble, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. We are on like 7 or 8 platforms now. Like, so on Facebook, we're on 3 different pages. On LinkedIn, YouTube Live, Rumble, and Kick. And soon, possibly the audio of all of these will be distributed as a podcast on Apple, Spotify, and everything else. So as to, at least I believe. I have a friend of mine who told me to go a totally different direction. He showed me the website. It's not super expensive, and they allow you to hold your media. So in other words, instead of having a YouTube or this or that or the other owning your media, you host it on your own website. You show short clips of what you want to other people for them to link not to a YouTube video or not to a Rumble account, but to your own account. And therefore, you own all of your own media. And in doing so, you can own all of the money that you make from this thing. It's the same idea as like what Tom McDonald has been doing, and I've mentioned him many times. But Connor Price, he's also doing the same thing. Connor Price makes $250,000 a month off of ASCAP. ASCAP is the way that you put licensing rights on your music, and so each time that the song is played on Twitter or on YouTube or on Instagram or on any platform, not only is he getting paid for the view of the platform, but he's also getting paid by the song being on the website. For instance, if you go to TikTok, you make a video and then you search for a song and then that song is in there, then that means that TikTok is paying for the rights to use that song, which is why when you go and you use it, you don't get in trouble. But based on that, that person gets paid every time that song gets used, which is why it's like if you can get a viral TikTok song and get 30 million retweets or reposts of that song where they use that song, you're getting paid 1 penny 30 million times. But then you're also getting paid on the other side of things, where you're getting paid for the rights to the use of the music. So when big companies like us, like a TikTok or a Facebook or whoever, you have that in their database of music, and people start using your song, then you get paid even more. That's that. The overall video today is about the problems in the world. And the problems in the world are occurring unfortunately based on the idea that people want to have some sense of winning. So I'm a winner, you're the loser. That's the way this world works. But it's unfortunate because that's not the way this world works. The idea that the idea that empathy is not the end all be all is the most ridiculous thing in the world, because if anything, everything we are is empathy. We are empathic in that we have been given something. We are empathic in the fact that we can sense and feel other people's pain and plight if we just take the time to sit down for a moment. And in turn, that's the piece that makes us. The thing that makes humanity is there's philosophical conversation that's asked, it's asked if there's a train track and there's two tracks and there's one person on one side and 5 people on the other, who would you kill? There's no other answer. You got to go one or the other, period. Now, of course, the answer is you take out the 1, not the 5, period, right? And then the question is asked, what if that one person is Jesus, and the other, and there's 1,000 regular people who never accomplish a world event style change like Jesus? Who would you kill? Well, you say, well, I have to take out the people to keep a Jesus. My point to what I'm trying to say here is that there is an old ideal of thinking that is this idea that you have to be stronger to be more representative, to have more of a voice. You have to be stronger than everybody else. You have to be the loudest voice in the room so that people ask you to be quiet so that everybody else can hear everybody else screaming. But the only way to quiet you down is to give you the thing that you want, as a group or as a whatever. And what has occurred based on that mentality is a room enclosed with no windows and no sound absorption, and a bunch of people on soapboxes screaming at the tops of their lungs, and it becomes a cacophony of noise, and nobody gets heard. We will continue to, unfortunately, live in this state of retardation. It stops us from growing. It stops us from seeing the true miracle of what we are. It's that simple. As long as we are not extending hands that are of empathy and peace, we will be in a state of retardation. It's that simple. Until you see somebody sit down on the ground with a, or even stand with an arm, with arms outreached as wanting to hug another human being, we will be in a state of retardation. It's that simple. As long as we are in a state of winning or betterment or more intelligent or more knowledgeable or more anything other than someone else or another group or another, we will be in a state of retardation. It's that simple. If you're an elitist, if your group is an elitist, we'll be in a state of retardation. If you condemn someone for protecting themselves, you are in a state of retardation. We will stay there, folks. And that is the problem with the world, is that somehow or another, people have come to think and believe, which is the worst part, that that's the way it is. I hear people say it all the time. That's just the way it is, Paul. What can we do about it? The answer, I've given it over and over and over and over and over again. Then the answer is stop towing the line. Stop paying your taxes. Stop propagating a system of war and pain. Stop. And so the only thing I can think of is that we as a race, a human race, must all agree for a week, stop. Stop your working, stop your whatever it is that you do, and go fucking connect to a worldwide peace event in which the greatest speakers, politicians, artists of our time come together and say 1 week a year, every year, the world comes together and creates new ideas and projects that we work on the entire year. And then the world changes. As long as we are allowing corporations and billionaires to own and control our lives, they will do everything in their power to keep that power. They don't want to lose the free workers. And as we lose the free workers, they already have free workers called artificial intelligence, called robots. For the past 100 and some odd years, the education system was built by the Prussian ideology. And it was built by the Prussian ideology so that the Prussians could have, not the Russians, but the Prussians could have a populace of people who did without question. The Germans took on that ideology. We, here in the United States, started sending people from America to Germany to learn how to create the same education system here in the United States. The same people who then learned from the Germans and came here to the United States are the ones that created the education system, here in the United States. And they did so, one of them being Rockefeller, because he needed people who would work without question. He needed more people to work. He needed less people to think. That's just the truth. And so if that's the case, then they want you to be like a robot. They want you to work without question, without any thought towards it whatsoever. They want you to just be a robot so that they can live their awesome, immaculate lives with gold sinks and $500, $750 million yachts and $200 million, $20 million homes. Because you're nothing but a robot to them. Something that will work without thinking for 50, 30, 40, 50 years. And then when they're done with you, they throw you away. They don't care about you. They only care about giving the money to the shareholders, which are their friends, helping them bolster their ideology and their marketing for you to go work 40 hours of your week to go buy a pair of shoes that they promote to you. And have you noticed that everything's not working the way it used to? It more so today than ever before. Coke bottles, a bottle of Coke no longer lasts the same amount of time. Why? Because you can go look it up, they've made the plastic more porous so that the carbonation can release itself, and they make it not last as long. Cereal, and I met the creators of some of the biggest brands of cereal that you can think of from General Mills. The guys that actually make the products, like make the cereals. And I said to them, cereal it's not the same anymore. Oh no, it's not the same anymore. Oh God, not at all. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, in the last 10 years, we've changed everything. We used to actually use like a real wheat. Like we used to actually use grain. Now we don't even use that. We just use a powder. And it's like, wow. Yo, is that my Valves BTW, bro, from Twitch? Look at that. We got my Twitch crew up in here. I love you. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for watching. Yeah, man. So there's a lot of weirdness that's going on. Another one that I saw recently that was very overwhelming was it's a video of a girl, and this is the day after what happened in Israel, the attacks in Israel. There was a video of a girl. No, sorry, please forgive me. This is in Ukraine, right after the attacks in Ukraine and Russia. The picture of a girl with curly hair who goes up to a soldier and slaps him. Internet sleuths went through and found the original video. The original video was from the Palestine conflict in Israel. What I'm trying to get at is that the media, the news, is no longer news. They don't even check what they are putting on the news. They are only listening to their editor who is towing the line. There's my sponsor. There's my sponsor. I love you, Chris. Chris Spice Knight. She's the one who sponsored for $250. Thank you so much for being part of this whole journey. Let me say to you guys that this girl ends up being found. Now, this girl's been in Palestine her entire life. She's been in the Gaza border her entire life. I believe her brother was murdered, her mother was murdered, so was her brother, in front of her eyes. And this child, 12, 13 years old, goes up to the man who had just murdered or done something and was yelling at him, screaming at her top of her lungs. And she goes to prison. Now, mind you, she didn't just stop at the first time. She's a very well-known Palestinian, survivor, one, and two, she's all about, being on that side of things. And I mean, what other choice does she have? It's the side that she was raised on. I don't know any better. She can get to live in England or in Australia, America. Born and raised in Palestine, bro. Born and raised in Gaza. The amount of anti-Semitism and the amount of Islamophobia that is happening right now in the streets. I've been watching a channel on Instagram called Jew Hatred or something like that is the name of the channel. And what they do is they just find videos of people who are taking down these signs, and then, which in on one level, I can't understand how anybody would take down a sign of somebody missing. On another level, I don't know what I would do if my child came up to me and said, "Dad, I'm scared because those signs are making my friends call me a terrorist." I honestly don't know what I would do. I'd probably go out into the street and take down signs too, bro. I don't know. But I do know, as long as we are putting up signs and taking down signs, we're staying in a place of retardation. I go back to that over and over and over again. Because it's almost like something is trying to grow. Something is trying to be free. Truly free. I mean, think about it for a second, folks. If you didn't have to have a quote-unquote job, would you do what you do for a living today? Probably not. Probably not. If you really lived your life at your terms, on your thing, you would probably just travel the world. There's my man. What's up, Mark? I love you, Mark. Great, good weather in NOLA now. It's amazing weather in NOLA today. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go out there in the world and go visit and see things. Maybe get some food. The idea that there's somehow or another a peaceful resolution in the direction that we're headed is almost impossible. You have anger and frustration on one side. And like I just saw this video from Ben Shapiro where he's doing a debate with somebody. And the woman is like, "I stand for Palestine." And he's like, "All right, can you condemn Hamas?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, then you don't stand with Palestine. You stand with this idea of eradicating Israel. So then I can't have a conversation with you or have a real debate with you if the first thing you're saying to me from the get-go is that you want me gone and you want the people that I, consider my family or whatever, gone as well. How am I supposed to have a conversation with you?" And then on top of that, how can I say, this is from the Jewish point of view, how can I say that you're peaceful and that you want peace when every single peace accord or document that was brought to you over the past 50 years has been denounced by your side, whether it was brought by the UN, whether it was brought by the PLO, whether it was brought by everything that has ever been brought to you, where we're like, "Yo, dude, here, peace, bro, stop." And it's been this response of, "No, we don't want that. We want this, 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 and this, and this on top of that." And so it's like, there is no way to go forward and do this thing. Good morning, Jay Reckless. Good morning, Grand Rising to you, my friend. There is no way to do this thing unless we start a movement of peace. And so I offer you this idea. I'm willing to do it, which is to start walking in peace and hope that other people join you. And you just create the stop. Create the stop, not one that is forced on you by COVID, but one that you say, I'm doing this because I understand that by doing this, I am making a statement for peace, for love, for sharing, for giving, for growing. Instead of, I'm working every day towards maiming, killing, murdering, lying, stealing, cheating. Chris comes in and says, my loved ones in Israel informed me that the only time they ever had to run to bomb shelters in the last 17 years was during Trump's presidency. Politics plays a role in our lives around the world, without a doubt, my dear, without a doubt. I dare to say that the politics that we knew of in the past are not the politics that we know today. What we know today is a corporatized version of politics, a version in which those that are the vanguard, those that are the BlackRock, those that are the owners of 99.9% of everything that have massive stakes in companies, those people are the ones that are making the laws. Those are the people that have the budgets to put massive amounts of money in lobbyists and taking people on vacations and giving them cars and houses and anything that they could ever want, so that they have what they need when it comes down to it. Absolutely new politics nowadays, right? Exactly. It's the thing is that it's never changed. Politics has always been the same. Politics has always been a zero-sum game on some level. The same way that the Roman Empire fell apart. It's exactly what we're doing today. I mean, read the book. Go read the book. There was a period in the Roman era in which decadence took over, and this is when they had the Colosseum. This is huge era, massive amounts of money, and a slow progressive movement moved in that asked, why should everybody be poor and only some be rich? This led to people believing that everybody, being that Rome was so wealthy, that everybody should have free money, and that there be no borders, and that everybody should be able to come in, and everybody should be able to become Roman. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds super familiar. It wasn't less than, I think, 50 to 100 years, probably a lot less than that, in which the entire Roman Empire gets disassembled, rebuilds itself, as it did like 3 or 4 times, but a Great Depression came upon Rome at that period of time. I see the same thing happening right now. I see how much we are manipulated by the overwhelming amount of marketing towards us. There's this video I just watched yesterday. It's called the N Factory. It stands for the Nigger Factory, and it's a documentary series that expresses why certain black people stay famous, and why other black entertainers and black businessmen are not noticed or mentioned. And if you watch the overwhelming evidence that a white supremacist ideology that has been going along for quite some time around this world uh, creates this character in African Americans in which the African Americans take on the ideology that that is their thing, when it's not their thing. It's a manipulated version of that thing. And then when you step away from it and you look at the world at large and you see the way that other people are seeing what they represent as African American in the rap game of people. So the transition happened somewhere in the 90s, where prior to the 90s, it was I'm rapping about my life in the world that I live in. And yet the 10 most famous rappers never went to prison, never had like super crazy lives, yet they put on a character to sell albums, and the whole time it was based on calling women hoes, tricks, and this, that, and the other. And then the other idea is selling drugs instead of having a regular job. And then the other idea is killing people and being part of a war-style gang mentality. And if you look at the media, especially in music, you're going to see that African American people are more times than not used as the bait towards that behavior. And that's been pushed more so in the past 10, 20, 30 years than anything else. And so what happens is that resounding chamber becomes your life. And then what happens to the women that are in that world? They all feel like they're hoes and tricks and bitches. And then what happens to the men in this world? Well, they feel like working for the man is stupid, and that being a drug dealer and turning into a multi-billionaire is the right way to go, because look at 50 Cent, look at Jay-Z. They were drug dealers who are now billionaires. So I guess I have to fake it till I make it kind of mentality. And this is coming from a fatherless community. And a fatherless community based on the laws that are placed against browns and blacks, based on the fact of what slavery was in the 14th Amendment changing. And once again, if you look at the 14th Amendment, it says it plain as English as can be. Yeah, sure, there's no such thing as slavery, but if you get convicted, you're still a slave. I'm going to read it to you because it's crazy. Read you the 14th Amendment, folks, because this one's crazy. All right. States cannot deny a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Heard you that? That's very important that you say the due process of law. Because what that states is that if you are convicted, then we still have what would be considered the idea of slavery. And that's what really is kind of trippy, really, if you think about it. It's like, yeah, we don't like slavery, but we'll take slaves. And then the laws, it's like I said the same thing before when I talked about the people who were forced into Australia, who were, I said they were slaves that were turned into criminals, and somebody's like, oh, you're crazy. That's not what happened. You don't know history. And I'm like, no, you don't know history. or you have been westernized in your mentality, and you think Christopher Columbus came to America. Like, and it's like the reason for it is to keep a storyline alive. That's all it's about. And it's white people are smart, everybody else is stupid. Period. That has been the story. Why do you think Jesus is white? Hello? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's so obvious. And yet nobody wants to have real conversations. Nobody wants to have real conversations, folks. Nobody wants that. Because if you start to get to real conversations, you start to doing what we're doing right now, having real, facts. Facts. Do not give a fuck about your emotions. They just don't, dude. They just don't. And it's unfortunate that we're living in our emotions. It's unfortunate that we are so tied and hell-bent to our ideology, which is emotionally based. Patriotism is emotionally based, created by the Prussian ideology of doing for your owner and not questioning it. How much in your life have you done that you did because society told you to? That right there will give you the answer. How many times do you get upset when Colin Kaepernick gets on his knee during the American anthem? That's your patriotism freaking the fuck out. But you don't think about it? Or maybe you don't care? Or maybe it's too overwhelming? Because what I've learned in the last 20-something days of watching this war is that by day 5 and 6, I was done. I couldn't take anymore. I couldn't keep watching them videos and the news. I can't. I can't keep seeing dead children every 5 seconds. A new dead child, a new dead mother, I can't, bro. I can't. And that's the thing. None of us can. But what are they doing? Why are they showing it to you? They want you to get used to seeing it. Because it's about to come down. The hammer is about to come down. There's 8 banks in the United States that are all about to fail. CBDCs are being pushed by the UN. We're all about to go into electronic money. Paper money is going to disappear completely. It's going to be worthless. It'll be kept for like a Pokemon card. What's going to be. And the further and further we go towards this technocratic future, the more and more we're going to end up like China. As long as we don't stand up, as long as we don't stop, that is where we're headed. Mark my words. And I've been right too many times. As long as we don't stand up today, tomorrow, this year, this next month, this next couple weeks, if we as a race in the world do not come together and coalesce, they own us. They already did it with COVID. They already know they can control us. They already know they can create mass hypnosis, no questions asked. Where other people will literally punch somebody else for not wearing a mask. You have to understand there's a massive amount of illusion going on. Like that girl in Ukraine who slapped the Ukrainian who was actually a Palestinian girl. But the thing is like the thing I didn't mention is that as soon as they found out she was Palestinian, she disappeared. And it wasn't until she went to prison, it wasn't until she wrote a book about her plight it is, that she finally gets some kind of recognition for who she is. So that goes back to the idea that if you scream loud enough inside the room, they'll give you something to keep you quiet. Because everybody in the room is screaming too loud. So if you get one person who just starts screeching, you're going to just tell them to shut the fuck up. You can't kill them. But what are you going to do? Let them have whatever they want, bro. And that's what's happening around the world. Passing the buck. Towing the line. That's exactly what's happening. The baby boomers are passing the buck. The rest of us are towing the line. Oh, well, there's no other way. They've already screwed us. Where else are we going to go? What else can we do? And the truth is, there's not enough people in the world to educate the non-educated. It just isn't. Think about it. Let's say we change the entire world today, tomorrow. We need to educate 2/3 of the planet on the most basic ideas. How to go to the bathroom. How to wash your clothes. The most basic ideas. That's 2/3 of the planet. So there's a lot of work involved, and a lot of heavy lifting that we do not want to do. Or I take that back. We want to do, but don't have enough time to do because we're stuck within a slave mentality and a slave work race. And it's only a couple people that have gotten out. And then you have a couple people that are egotistical when they get out. Andrew Tate. Kanye West. And what do I mean by get out? Get out means you're safe. That's it. It's safe. Safe. You don't have to worry anymore. You don't have to stress anymore. Anybody who chases you, you have that taken care of. Anybody who sues you, no stress. I got the money to take care of that. So when you get to a certain place of comfort, there's no stress. You're safe. You made it. You're no longer in the rat race. And like 70 to 90% of the people are all rule breakers. They break rules and then they're no longer part of everybody else. They got out of the matrix. But what is the matrix? The matrix is exactly what we talked about. It's all the rules and regulations that you follow thinking that you have to. Thinking that if you don't do it, you're not going to be accepted by others. And it's the people who don't give a fuck about being accepted or not accepted that end up being billionaires. They don't care what you think. They only care about not being in the matrix. They care about their safety. And you'd be like, whoa, Paul, how could you say that? I don't care about my safety. It's not that you don't care about your safety. I've explained it before. It goes like this. If we go back to 1400s and we're living in a small little town with a couple hundred people in it, and your dad is a blacksmith, and all you've ever learned from the age of 3 to 16 is being a blacksmith, and at 16 you go, hey, Dad, go fuck yourself. I'm out of here. I'm going down the street telling everybody I'm going to go play the fucking ukulele. The city that you came from dies within 10 years. And the reason for that is because nobody else has a blacksmith, or they have to go out of their way to try to find somebody who knows how to blacksmith, because they need wheels, they need hooves, they need nails, they need whatever they need to create their city. And if that guy decides to take off, and it's the same thing on the other side. It's the exact same thing. There's no choice. Where am I going to go? Where am I going to do? And you're like, oh, well, Paul, there's people who have gone out of poverty and made it rich. How many? 1, 2, 10? Billions? The reality of it It's more expensive to be poor than it is to be rich. It's more expensive to be poor than it is to be famous. Why? Because when you're famous, people give you everything for free. It's the craziest fucking thing in the world. I worked my entire life having absolutely nothing until I became famous, and then when I became famous, everybody wanted to give me everything for free. Huh? But I only was trying to become famous so I could have the money to not have to pay for shit. But now I don't have to pay for shit anyways? What the fuck is going on here? Because our own ideology is fucked. When all you do is work your ass off the year to go on vacation for 7 days, and out of that 7 days, there's a couple hours that you say, wow, this was a good vacation. Because the rest of the time, you're so stressed on getting to the vacation in the first place. Because that's not a vacation, folks. That's running away. That's running away from the pain that you're dealing with every day. That's what that really is. Not a vacation. You're running away from your slave owner who forces you to be somewhere every day. Chris comes in and says, I was raised outlaw. I chose to grow away from that lifestyle. I question my life and feel like maybe being outlaw is safer now, although I do give a fuck about life and living stable and healthy for all. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Unfortunately, there's this weird thing. How long do you take care of somebody until you no longer want to take care of them because they don't take care of themselves? How long? A week? A month? Let's say you're a multimillionaire, billionaire, money, stupid money. And there's 100 people that live on your property that don't do shit. And because you want to have everybody be taken care of and you want everybody to be good and everybody to be happy and everybody to have, you feed them every day, you pay for the services, the washing of clothes, the food, the shelter, the houses. You build everything for them. But they never do shit. They never go get a job. They never try to get in touch with you, never try to hang out with you. They don't care. How long, Chris? How long do you pay for them? For eternity? Pay for them to go to school? Pay for them maybe to go whatever? But then they do that and then they go, nah, I don't want to do that. Because there's no struggle. Part of the life lesson is struggle. Part of the life understanding is that when you put yourself into it, something changes. But if you just give and give and give and give, bro, you're just going to have a bunch of people that do nothing all day long, that sit around and wait for their check. Maybe in that group, you'll have 1, 2, 10 to go, I want to build something with the money that you're giving me. I want to create something that you're doing. I want to build, and the rest will be like, fuck, why would I work? Why? For what? I could just live in this awesome house, come outside every day, eat something, go back in, come back out, take a shower, come back in, hang out, watch TV, play video games. I get whatever I want whenever I want it. I don't have to do shit for it. I don't have to work for it. I don't have to think for it. And now you want me to do something for it? I'm out. So how long would you do it for? How long would society do that? Or is it that there's this massive conscious change that has to happen where it's like some people come here to not do anything? Holy shit, what a radical fucking idea. And Chris comes in and says, I'm dealing with that. I don't want to continue to help others, but I do. I know they don't value life because they haven't had to struggle and get it themselves. And this is that conscious flip I'm talking about. What if, because of your mentality, because of your ideology, because of the way that you were raised, your nature nurture has you seeing it differently? And so, in turn, it is your responsibility to take care of them because you think differently. It is your God given job to teach them what they don't know, to give them the knowledge that struggling for their own will make them feel and be better people. That's your job. That's the work we don't want to do. And I'm not talking about you, Chris. I'm talking about the world at large. It's the work we don't want to do. It's easier to buy the toy. It's easier to get the kid to be quiet, the kid in the room that's screaming. It's easier to just give them what they want, let them turn so that you can turn the fuck off again. Because we're so overwhelmed with the stress that is being forced in our lives. We are worried about bills. We're worried about insurance that won't work. We're because I pay for my insurance, but I'm pretty fucking sure that the one fucking surgery that I'm gonna fucking need when I need it is not gonna be covered. And then my copay, if they do accept, is gonna be out the fucking roof. And so what did I just pay for insurance for? Why did I go to college? I went and spent 5, 6, 4 years of my life. I'm $150,000 in debt, and I will never get out. So that means I'll never own a home. Why the fuck did I go to college? Why? Why do anything nowadays? The world's falling apart. People are fucking killing each other. They're laughing about it over here. This one's taking down posters. That one's doing this. The other one's fucking for money. The other one, I don't give a fuck about anything. Why do anything? We're already there. They've already pushed us into that corner. And so I say it again and again and again. The only way to make this stop is for us to stop towing the line. Stop. Stop in the behaviors of going and buying from McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and Burger King. Go to a small mom and pop restaurant. Go to your fucking neighbor and eat with them. They're your neighbors, bro. You don't even know them. How long have you lived next to your neighbors and you don't know them? How many people can you say that to in America and we'll be like, yeah, I definitely don't know John or Cindy. They live next door, but I don't know them. I don't talk to them. We will be in a state of retardation as long as we think that we are right. We will be in a state of retardation as long as we keep pushing others away until they do what we want. Others won't do what we want. We are not owners of others. Just not. And most don't even know how to own themselves. The only way this works is when we start to give each other hugs in the street, randomly to people, when we stop forcing misaligned, non-knowledgeable, non-educated cannon fodder, because that's what it ends up being. Just everything else but the cannon. Everything else but humanity. Please go out of the world, do something nice for somebody else. And if you can't, do something nice for yourself. Number 2, don't get caught up in all the crazy shit in this world. Because if you do, you end up crazy. And number 3, if you don't mind, please like, share, subscribe. Send this out to somebody who wants to see this. Last post here from Chris. She says, I agree. Back in the days when we knew our neighbors, I'm guilty now. I don't know my neighbors. I don't socialize at all with my neighbors. None of us do, Chris. I mean, I do. But I'm weird. As a matter of fact, my neighbor across the street brought me soup the other day. Super fucking good. I love you. I wish you nothing but beauty in this world. I really do. I'll see you all on the other side.